But before we go on to this main subject of combat veteran and versus non-combat veterans, we're really honored to have a special guest with us, and this is Bob Brutinel. Bob is joining us from, I've heard it pronounced Casa Grande or Casa Grande, and I've also heard it pronounced uh, Grande, Arizona.
Anyway, as long as you pronounce it.
Either way, they don't care. Casa Grande, Arizona. Bob Brutinel is turning 100 years old on Wednesday, September 4th. He's a United States Marine who served on Iwo Jima, where he received a Purple Heart and a Silver Star. And I found out about you, Bob, because Gunny Alger, and I don't know if Gunny has joined us here in the Zoom room. Gunny Alger, Frank Gunny Alger, who's the vice commandant, I think, of the Marine Corps League for the Arizona district. He let me know that there was going to be a big party for you held in Arizona, a birthday party on Saturday. And I found, and I'm going to share a picture of you in the Marine Corps. Here you are as a Marine. This is, I think, right at the end of the war, I believe. Do you remember when this photo was taken, Bob?
It's 19, let's say for 45.
Okay, 1945. You can see that Bob served in Company H, 3rd Battalion, 27th Marines, 5th Marine Division, and look at this party that was held for him in Arizona. What a wonderful party it was. You can see his son Mark, and Mark is with him tonight. Hi, Mark. Thank you for
Hello.
having us for bringing your dad on the program here. Here's Bob looking very spry, getting some gifts from well-wishers. You this is probably some a citation or a proclamation. The Marine Corps showed up. I think they were from the Marine recruiting station Phoenix. They showed up to present some presents. Here's something they presented. I don't know what that is.
It's an 8 ball.
Is an 8 ball. An
Yeah,
eight? Why an 8 ball?
because you're always behind the 8 ball.
They're always behind the 8 ball. And some other presents here. Here's a wonderful picture of you with some young Marines. There's Gunny Alger taking a picture with you. It's so wonderful when Marines across the generations get together and share that camaraderie. And here's another gift that you got. What is this? A fragmentation grenade.
It's a hand grenade.
Are hand grenades something that you give as a birthday present?
It's a dummy.
You know, Bob, my wife shares your birthday, September 4th. I can't imagine what she'd say if I gave this to her for her birthday. There it is again. And this is a citation which I want to read later. But let me ask you, Bob, you joined the Marine Corps in 1942. Why? Why the Marine Corps?
I thought the uniform was real pretty.
An honest man. You grew up in El Paso, Texas?
No. I grew up in Clifton, Arizona,
Clifton, Arizona. Okay.
the
Um,
copper mining town.
okay, a copper mining town, Clifton,
I was
Arizona.
born in El Paso.
Oh, you were born in El Paso. Okay.
My mother and dad and sister were coming through. My mother's a war bride, and they were coming back to the United States, and we're going back to Clifton, and they stopped to see my aunt in El Paso, and I don't know why they couldn't work, but I was born.
So you were born by accident in El Paso.
Absolutely.
I've read up a bit about you and your service history, Bob. The first place you went after your training when you went overseas, was it Guadalcanal?
Yeah, I was in the Marine paratroops.
Marine paratroops. I know very little about that.
Yeah, there was the reason he wanted a paratroop So,
We're-
and Maine,
You know, Bob, we're having some trouble with your audio. We can't quite understand what you're saying. It seems like a muffled microphone or something like that.
Let me get it a little
the
closer.
Okay.
the Raiders, and he wanted the Raiders and a paratroop, and he put his son in ahead of the Raiders, and I can't remember who it was.
I think that was James, right? James Roosevelt.
Yeah, yeah, it was. That's right. Yeah.
Well, what made you volunteer to be a paratrooper, a Marine paratrooper?
They just asked me to, like they say in the Marine Corps, never volunteer for anything. And so I volunteered for the Marine Corps for that.
So you volunteered to be a paratrooper.
Dad, he's what he didn't tell you is he got $50 extra, and he got to put his pants inside his boots. And so he got to put the blouse inside the boots, and he thought the girls would like that better.
No, they didn't want you to put your hand. They didn't want you to identify with an Army paratroops. And
Right.
any Marine never wants to be identified as an Army.
That's right.
Nothing wrong with them. Don't get me wrong.
And so were you at Guadalcanal?
I was in the cleanup. We were in the cleanup.
Wow.
From there, stragglers went up for stragglers, and we still got late at night, but it wasn't real heavy. And washing machine charter come down at night and bomb different areas. There was an airfield, Henderson Field, there, and there's a river that goes through it. It's one of the rivers, and we used to go down and bathe in the thing. And a few years ago, I was reading where there were crocodiles in the thing. I never did see any.
Oh, man. I mean, I've heard that the elements, the weather, the climate, the animals, the bugs in Guadalcanal could be as dangerous as the enemy.
The mosquitoes would practically carry you off. They were thick, just black at times. And they made us take as Atterburn every morning before you had chow. And it's so bitter. And they had a corpsman right the head of them, and he made you he made sure you swallowed it. But you'd get a little further out and you'd see it all over the ground. Spread it out. And it just turned you yellow as can be. And
Bob, you landed on Iwo Jima on the first day, and I think the first wave.
First wave. I was in the first wave.
You were in the first wave on February 19th, 1945.
Right.
Could you tell us what that was like?
Oh. The ship, the transport to our Higgins boat waiting to take us in. And I had my flamethrower strapped on me. And I thought, man, I better fall. They'll never find me in the ocean. And so I got in. We went ran a rendezvous till we got lined up, and we got lined up, then we went straight in.
Wow.
And we were right at the base of Fairbanksy, where when we went up through, and the volcano ashes was so thick, it was so deep, and we had to go up about 20 feet to get above the ashes. And you'd sink up to your ankles, to your ankles, the ash would be so thick.
Mm.
Then we went across and cut the, and that's where we spent the first night.
And by that time, you were a flamethrower operator?
Yes. Yep. I'm not very proud of it, but you had to do it. So
Yes. Oh my, Bob. I read one story that you had the flamethrower and you were leading, or you were going with leading a small group up a muddy slope, and you slipped and fell. And that ended up being a lucky fall. You don't remember that?
So he's talking about your nose.
When your nose.
When you got hit.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, there it goes. They asked if I knew where anyone was in a certain part of our outfit, and I said, I do, because I had a good buddy in it. And I volunteered to take a corpsman over there because the corpsman got killed. And I was going, taking him down. They gave me a guide, and then the corpsman, and I was leading. And there was a big Indian that they were mountains. In fact, and I started down this little ravine, and just as I slipped, I saw those Japanese jump up, and I saw this bullet come at me, and it hit me. And I just stood there and thought I was dead. And the corpsman pulled me down, and then they took me back to the line that I was to first. And they took me back to the base hospital.
So if you hadn't slipped, that might have gone.
Yeah,
that might have been the end of you.
he might have.
Oh man. Boy, oh boy. And then I know, and we're having again a little trouble with your mic, a little trouble understanding you, but I want to put on the screen here the Silver Star citation so people could see what you did here. The President of the United States of America takes pleasure in presenting the Silver Star to Private First Class Robert C. Brutinel, United States Marine Corps, for conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity while serving as a demolition man and flamethrower operator of Company H, 3rd Battalion, 27th Marines, 5th Marine Division, in action against an enemy Japanese forces on Iwo Jima, Volcano Islands, 12 March 1945. When his company was held up by an enemy pillbox, Private First Class Brutinel made a direct frontal attack on the hostile emplacement, firing his flamethrower until the fuel supply was exhausted. Returning to the company dump, he refilled his weapon and, advancing again on the Japanese position, attacking the pillbox until it was completely silenced. His courage and devotion to duty reflect the highest credit upon the United States Naval Service. Do you remember that, Bob?
I guess so.
I guess so. I know you don't talk much about it, and I'm sure you don't want to talk much about it.
Well, let me explain something. I don't believe in medals because there's so many people that do so far more things to do. And when you get a medal, it's because somebody saw you and turned it in, and they thought you deserved one. And a Purple Heart, you can get a scratch, and you get a Purple Heart.
Yeah.
And I got shot through the nose, and I didn't lose a leg or spend months in a hospital because of wound in a bullet in my stomach, stuff like that. Those guys deserve a Purple Heart. That's just the way I feel about it.
And I think a lot of combat veterans feel the same, just like you expressed. I've read, Bob, that of your company, your H company, out of 280 members of that company, 16 survived without being.
Yeah. Well, they took us off 64 days later.
16 of you.
Yeah.
You must feel like the luckiest man in the world in the sense you survived that.
Well, they took us aboard the ship, and that night, um, they had a big commotion back on Iwo, and the Japanese made the final bonsai, and they attacked the fit. By then, we had 51 pilots. They had lived in tents, and they hit tents, and they butchered up a bunch of pilots and stuff. And we thought, oh man, we got to go back, but we didn't. We went home. We went back to Honolulu.
Bob, was it hard to come home after that? Was it hard to become a civilian again after the war?
Yeah, yeah. Anybody will tell you that. It's just you just fit out of place. I did anyway, and I had 11 family. They just took care of me when I came home.
You ended up getting married, starting a family. You started a business, the Brutinel plumbing business, which is still in operation all these years later. You've had an absolutely wonderful, terrific life, Bob. You must feel just blessed.
Yes, I got a wonderful. All my kids are successful, and I just the way nowadays with kids with drugs and stuff. And my grandkids are all good kids. They don't get in trouble, and so that's where I figure I'm really lucky.
You are approaching your 100th birthday on Wednesday. Do you have any tips for longevity, secrets for how to live a long life?
I never smoked. I very seldom have a beer with Mexican food. I don't know if that could help. I never drink coffee, so but I don't know what I figure I'm religious enough. And I'm a I've been a Catholic all my life, and I worship the good Lord. So I can't tell you anything else more.
Bob, it is such an honor for us to have you join us. And we're so grateful that you took some time out of your holiday here to join us online. Al Smith, I know we have some people. I do want to invite people to make comments, wish Bob a happy birthday, maybe ask a question. Hey, Al Smith, how are you?
Good, Bob. Happy birthday. I do have a question. I'm curious. At what point did you know, or did you know, that the American flag was raised twice on Mount Sabachi, or I'm pronouncing that wrong? Sabachi. Did you see
Yeah,
each?
I sure did. Well, I did. That's somebody on Iwo Jima. Did you see them raise the flag? And I said, I didn't have the time to see anybody raising the flag. I was so busy digging in because a mortar and was moves, and you want to stay as low as you can. And um, sometimes you can get food for 2 or 3 days, or water for 2 days. Um, it's so much artillery and firing and everything. So, but no, I didn't see it. I didn't even know anything about it till we got on the way back from the States from the island back to Hilo, where our camp was at. And in fact, we didn't even know that President Roosevelt had died till we pulled into Pearl Harbor, and we saw flags at half mast, and we asked, and they said the president died. So that's. Can I answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Brad Washabaugh, another Marine.
Yeah, I just want to say, Bob, happy birthday. One Marine to another, Semper Fi. Have you ever
Semper
been
Fi.
back? Have you ever been back to Iwo Jima?
No, I wanted to take my wife back. I had my tickets and to go, and I got tested positive for prostate. And my son was a doctor, was a doctor at Mayo Clinics, and he said, "Dad, you want to be a live hero or a dead hero?" so I told Max, my wife, that let's go to Mayo's, and we did. And had my prostate out there.
I was on Iwo Jima about 40 years ago, and to be on the island and have Suribachi, it feels like that is always looking down at you. You can't escape Suribachi. It looms large, and the island is very quiet. It's a hallowed ground. A lot of remnants of the battle still there. But Bob, you're a real legend. You cast a large shadow. Marines, everybody just salutes you, and God bless you. Happy birthday, my friend.
Thank you. I want to say one thing. You got to remember that the Japanese held out for 5 days, 3 days after we landed, and they had command of the whole island. They could direct their fire anywhere they wanted. So when the guys went up the top of the hill, and that took a lot of pressure off of us. And I knew Harry Hayes, and I met him on the ship coming back when we were discharged right from Japan to be discharged. And I met him, and he showed me his book, all the president's signature, and all the Hollywood people that fed him drinks all the time, which he got the best of him.
Yeah.
And he's a good Marine.
Ira Hayes, you knew Ira Hayes. You met him on the ship back, you said, from Japan.
Yes. Yeah, because in those days, when you ran anybody from Arizona, because Arizona wasn't hardly any populated.
That's right.
And it's just like finding a brother or relatives, and you talk to him and say, "Where are you from?" And oh yeah, I knew that. I knew that. So that's what.
Wow, how wonderful. Bob, there had to have been a time on Iwo Jima where you thought you weren't going to make it. You were never going to get off that island.
Well, no. No, I didn't. I never thought I had. I guess I wasn't very smart. but no, I never. I just you had so many good buddies, had your back,
Yeah.
and all of them are dead. I'm the last one, and they're all gone.
Well, we are so privileged to have you with us. Thank you, Bob, so much for joining us this evening. Mark, thank you and your family also for honoring your father and for allowing him to join us for a bit.
It's our pleasure.
Semper Fi.
Semper Fi, Bob. Thank you very much.